les hommes avec sa chanson douce. Elle est la reine de la souterraine. Elle se couche mais elle ne peut pas dormir. C'est bien descend une intrigue dans l'étranger. Il n'y a pas une chose qui va pas jamais changer. C'est pas de sa faute, il monde de mensonges. La vérité est un art pour les maîtres, qu'on dirait rétréci, est ainsi que l'infini. L'espace et le temps ne sont pas linéaires. Elle est la reine de la souterraine. Elle se couche mais elle ne peut pas dormir. C'est bien descend une intrigue dans l'étranger. Il n'y a pas une chose qui va pas jamais changer. In the world of nomadic, traveling, busker, street performer, musician, punky, hippie people in New Orleans, there's this sort of presumed non-monogamy in the dating world that in some ways is really refreshing compared to the presumed monogamy of so many other communities. But it can also be a really messy thing if, for example, someone comes from the presumed monogamy world and ends up getting really hurt when they find out that wasn't what was going on. Or when people aren't able to answer questions honestly. For example, does your girlfriend in another town know that you're dating me? And the person says, yes, of course, it's her idea to be non-monogamous in the first place. And then you end up dating them and figure out, or they tell you much later that they were lying and now their girlfriend's hurt, and you've become this unwitting Jolene from Dolly Parton's Jolene. And I was in a situation like this and was lying in bed at night in New Orleans thinking about Jolene and her red hair, her flaming locks of auburn hair. And through some internet stalking, I had figured out that the girlfriend of this guy I was casually dating, and he never told me about her, but I'm an amateur detective and I had figured it out. And I saw that she had bright red hair too. And I didn't really know exactly how she would feel about me if she knew, but I was sure she probably didn't. And he was really into old-time tunes and country tunes, and I thought it might be interesting to write a little song about the situation, combining, because it was kind of about red-haired girls, this old tune, Red-Haired Boy. Dolly Parton's Jolene. Jolene, 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 Jolene. Please, begging of you, please don't take my men. And so I started out combining this song. And I got about that far in the actual combination of it, and then it went in a different direction and started sounding kind of like one of those really old, spooky Cajun tunes, which I liked. And now that it sounded like that, I wanted to write French words to it. And around this time, I had been studying a lot of psychological shadow work and natural magic and ancient Greek mythologies. And within the work of especially this woman I went to high school with, who's now a really successful results magician, she came up with this idea of existential kink, which I would explain as you have these traumas that raised you and formed your mind in your early years. And so whether or not you like it, you are going to repeat those patterns of the trauma because part of you is familiar with that and kind of addicted to it, and it's all it knows, and that's the comfort zone, is these traumatic patterns. And how we get into these traumatic patterns of, say, being with someone who's not honest to us, or someone who can't be faithful, or all kinds of things like that. And there's this part of you that is really enjoying it because it's the comfort zone. And until you accept that about yourself and honor it, can you move on from it? You can't move on to it until you accept it. And so I started thinking about her re-examined myth of Persephone, the queen of the underworld. And in ancient Greek mythology, the story was that Persephone was this innocent maiden in a field of flowers, picking flowers one day, and the earth opened up, and Hades of the underworld stole her and kidnapped her and raped her and made him be his queen. And she was destined to be trapped in the underworld as the queen for 6 months out of the year, and then she could come up and be in the human world for the other 6 months. In reimagining it, it's kind of like, well, maybe part of her really wanted to be this trapped little victim, and Hades was really just her dom daddy who came and helped her live out that fantasy so that she could heal from traumas that had made her addicted to that concept. And so for my lyrics, I kind of mixed the idea of being an unwitting Jolene with being this kinky sub-queen of the underworld, and talked a little bit about how I just when I think about honesty in non-monogamy, a lot of people say that it's a way to be way more radically honest with your partner, and maybe ultimately it is, but it's so hard for people to be honest because of their conditioning and how afraid they are of other people's reactions and how selfish they kind of are and don't want that reaction. They want only what they want and want it to be easy. And so I was just thinking how you really have to be a master of truth to be very good at honesty. And so my lines are kind of about the real life situation I was in, but also mixing up those different songs and those different Greek myths and all these things. And I have recorded this song for my new album where I wrote out 3-part harmonies for the vocal part, because it's a very difficult vocal part for me. It's very, very high in my range, and just fits really strangely over the lyrics and the melody. And I like writing things that are kind of a challenge for me to learn to be able to do, because I think I grow from them. But because it's kind of difficult and my voice wasn't going to be that strong on them, I thought it would be cool to do 3-part harmony with it, and then they could kind of fill each other out. And I added some other old Cajun things, like I learned Cajun triangle for the recording and played on it, and I'm really excited about this super weird song that I have coming out.